Thank you for joining us for today's webinar, Installing LVT Systems in Wet Environments. Some brief housekeeping before we start. Your phones are on mute. If you have any questions, please type them into the Q&A box in the corner of your screen, and we'll answer them at the end of our session, time permitting, or we'll answer them via an email after. And you can always send questions to mapeidigital@mapei.com. Now, without further delays, I'd like to introduce today's speaker, Jeff Johnson. Jeff is the business manager for MAPEI's floor covering installation systems line. He brings to the industry more than 25 years' experience in the development and marketing of floor covering installation products, practical experience in the construction industry, and as a bench chemist, gives Jeff an insightful perspective on surface preparation, moisture mitigation, and floor covering installation. And I know that we're going to learn some interesting things in today's seminar. Jeff, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Jen. Thanks for that very nice introduction. Welcome, everyone. Very exciting to have you all here today to talk about what I consider to be something extremely interesting and very exciting for the flooring industry. As we take things from a horizontal application into a vertical application, and particularly in wet environments. So I'd like to introduce to you MAPEI's shower system for LVT, and we're going to spend quite a bit of time talking about all the techniques and the products and installation methodologies and basic information on how to successfully install LVT in wet environments. So without further ado, please sit back and hopefully we will educate you on a very new and exciting system. So what is the shower system for LVT? It is a system of MAPEI products, and that's one of the exciting things about this whole program is that we have an entire assortment of MAPEI products that all work together for the successful installation of LVT flooring in wet environments such as tub surrounds and shower enclosures, steam rooms, gang showers, you name it, even in the hospital environments. This is where this type of product can go, and virtually any kind of LVT can be used. And we'll talk a little bit more about that because I know that's one of the common questions that come up is what LVT can I use? And virtually anything that is a PVC or a non-PVC based structure can be successfully used in this kind of environment, even if the flooring manufacturer at present doesn't recommend their products for use in a wet environment. Just a little bit of an information as to why most flooring manufacturers today will not recommend the use for their LVT structure in wet environment is because they're just don't have the slip resistance built into them for that kind of environment. Well, the shower system for LVT addresses all of that, and I will save that discussion for a little bit later, but it basically means that any type of LVT you want to can be installed into a wet environment. So what are some of the benefits of the shower system for LVT? And I think they are quite extensive, and we'll spend a little bit of time talking about these as we go through the presentation. But first and foremost is the extent and breadth of visuals that are now available in the LVT market. Whatever you can imagine, you can basically find in an LVT structure. When we are all still traveling, and one of the trips I get to make on somewhat of a regular basis is to travel to Germany to the Domatex trade show, and I made it for the 2020 Domatex trade show before all the travel got cut down. And it's quite amazing and exciting to see all the visuals and the LVT products that are coming our way. And what was most interesting to me was they're not only just selling LVT products, there are companies there that their whole role and function is to sell visuals. If you want to have a giant piece of Carrara marble visual, they have the picture for it. If you want to have barnwood visuals, they have the visuals for that. And the printing quality and texture is becoming really quite good for this kind of structure. So I've seen it all. I'm sure they'll continue to surprise me, but again, I've seen wood visuals, stone visuals, things that look like concrete, things that look like gravel, you name it. Anything is possible for the visual. So that's very exciting from a design standpoint, from whatever you're trying to achieve in your home and in your shower environments. The other thing that I think is a very important benefit of the shower system for LVT is, for the most part, it's a dust-free installation process. And if you think about the normal installation process of a ceramic tile project, you have wet saws and grinders and mortar mixers and bags of powder, and it can be a very dusty, dirty process. Cleanup becomes extensive, especially if you're trying to do this internally inside the building. Dust does get everywhere, and there's a lot of cleanup involved. The shower system for LVT doesn't require a lot of those pieces of equipment. There's no wet saws involved. Obviously, cutting an LVT can be done as simple with a utility knife or a very convenient guillotine type cutter. Very simple to work with. The adhesives and materials that are used to install it, for the most part, are all in a bucket, pre-mixed and ready to go. And that's like the third bullet point of the benefit, is that everything is pre-mixed here. You don't need water on a job site. You don't need to be adding powders to water, mixing that up. You don't have to worry about pot lives and so on and so forth. So in these two bullet points, you've got a very interesting benefit in terms of ease of use, lack of mixing, and considerably less cleanup involved. Now think about it, if you're trying to work a hotel remodel, for example, you have a whole floor of showers that you want to, or bathrooms you want to remodel. The amount of dust generated for a traditional ceramic tile installation may take a day, 2 days more labor just to clean it up off the floor and off the walls and out of the air conditioning ducts and so on and so forth. The LVT system eliminates a lot of that cleanup process, since it's all pre-mixed and not dusty to make. The other thing that's interesting to think about is the minimum build thickness. So, going back to that hotel retrofit model, if you had an old ceramic tile that was tired and dated and you wanted to upgrade the look and you were going to redo it with tile products, MAPEI has a lot of great materials that allow you to do that. But what you're going to wind up doing is adding increased thickness to the walls. Just the mortar bed itself is going to add 1/8 of an inch, if you're lucky, in terms of build thickness, plus the tile that you're installing, which can be anywhere from 1/4 of an inch to 3/8 of an inch thick. So you're essentially pushing into another 1/2 an inch thickness inside to the area. Now, some of the hotels that I've traveled through and looked at some of the bathtubs that are there, I don't see much space left on some of the shoulders to add another 1/2 an inch. The tile might actually hang out over the tub somewhat. So an LVT installation takes all that worry out of your mind, because you're only adding a very, very small layer of adhesive, and you're dealing with 2 millimeter, maybe 3 millimeter, and maybe at the thickest 5 millimeter LVT. So at the most, you're only adding 1/8 to 3/16 of an inch thickness on existing walls. So most of that is going to fit on existing shoulders on tubs, and it's not going to encroach too much on the space. So that's another interesting benefit as well. Lastly, what's also important to note is that the system itself is based on traditional waterproofing systems that we currently use and know about in the ceramic tile industry. So nothing's really new or challenging here. It's whatever you've been using for waterproofing membranes is definitely going to work for the shower system for LVT. And we'll talk at length about what those are. So those are in my opinion, the benefits of this. And I think those are really solid, important, and exciting benefits to bring to your customers or bring to the job site. The visuals, the installation process, the dust-free nature of it, the ease of installation, speed of installation, and the overall effect are really some exciting benefits of this system. What are the products that are involved in the shower system for LVT? And we have quite a bit of a list, but this is really kind of the tip of the iceberg, and let me explain why. We start with a waterproofing membrane, and I'm starting with our discussion of MAPEIUSA Aqua Defense, which is one of MAPEI's very popular waterproofing membranes, but it is not the only waterproofing solution that MAPEI offers. We have a variety of other materials, and whatever you are used to using will perfectly work for this system. I like MAPEIUSA Aqua Defense because it's fast, easy to apply, goes on with a roller. But if you want to use MAPEIUSA Smart, MAPEIUSA 315, we have a membrane called MAPEGuard WP200, which you'll see in this presentation. All of those will work very well. The only thing you need to remind yourself is that you are installing a resilient flooring material that conforms to any kind of shapes that you might have underneath it. So you're really trying to spend some extra time to make sure that you have a smooth surface. So however you want to get there really doesn't matter to me, but I choose the MAPEIUSA Aqua Defense as our lead item here because it is fast. MAPEBand is important for this system also because it helps ensure a perfect seal around the tub enclosure and the shower enclosures as well. I'd encourage you to look this up on our website to find out more about it, but we'll spend a little bit of time here in a minute talking about it, but it's definitely important to seal all the seams in an enclosure prior to the application of any LVT installation. Slope RS, this is a new one we introduced this year in 2020 at Surfaces. We'll talk about this as well, but this is a rapid setting slope compound. So if you are making shower pans by hand, as opposed to fiberglass inserts or something that's already existing, Slope RS is a great product. We'll spend some more time about that. The four products following are unique and very important aspects of the shower system for LVT, and they have no other alternatives. Planet Prep for LVT is the prep product. We'll spend time about that as a pre-mixed material. Very easy to use, fills in all the nail holes, screw holes, tape line, any kind of variations you have, basically to make the wall smooth. Two very special adhesives, Ultrabond Eco MS for LVT wall and Ultrabond Eco MS for LVT. And again, these are extremely important because they are reactive type adhesives. MS stands for modified silane. They react with moisture in the air to cure. They don't require needs for evaporation. They're not a pressure sensitive adhesive. They will lock up and create a very solid rubbery bond. The only difference between the two is viscosity. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. And the secret magic, or the secret ingredient of this system, if you will, is the MAPEI code for LVT. And this is a very important part of the shower system for LVT in that it coats the LVT that you've installed into the shower enclosure, seals all the seams, and also provides a non-slip or a traction coating on the flooring as well. So these are the general products we need: a waterproofing membrane, sloping products, some preparation, as well as adhesive and a coating. So let's take a look at each one of these as we go through it a little bit more in detail. MAPEIUSA Aqua Defense, as I mentioned before, is one of MAPEI's front runners in the waterproofing membrane domain. Again, very easy to work with, a double coat application system. I believe you can do flood testing within 12 hours after application. Very easy to work with and a very solid track record going forward. Again, this is not the only waterproofing membrane that's part of the system, and I didn't have enough time to give all of the different other waterproofing products we have. But again, MAPEIUSA 315, MAPEIUSA Smart, I think MAPEIUSA Pronto is a new one we've got, the MAPEGuard WP200, all of those are suitable for use in the shower system for LVT. The next one is MAPEBand, as I mentioned to you before, one One part of the product here is this rubber mesh fabric that you would put at the seams, inside and outside seams. We also have inside corners, outside corners. We also have the fittings that go on plumbing protrusions as well. That's why I recommend that you get to the MAPEI website for the US and take a look at what we have available in the MAPEI family, all of which are going to be very important to making sure that you have a dry and totally sealed, waterproofed base to work with to protect the subfloor, to protect the area around it from water intrusion. So MAPEI is a very important piece of it. We also have some fabrics as well that can be embedded into the Aqua Defense products as well to make sure that you keep a very solid corner, inside corners, plane changes, whatever, so you don't get any water intrusion in those areas. Planet Slope RS, as I mentioned previously, is a new product for us, but it is a very fast setting sloping compound. I like this again because I don't know about all of you on the webinar here today, but when I get calls from contractors, the thing that they ask for the most is make sure it's fast. I can't waste a lot of time doing this. Don't make me wait for the cement to dry. I want to get moving. I can't wait any longer. So the ideal thing here is Planet Slope RS is a very fast curing sloping compound. And I think I'd ask you to look this up on the website as well. We have, I think, a video on our YouTube that shows how quickly this dries, but you should have, I believe the product is done and dried in within 4 to 6 hours after application, which is pretty fast for these kind of materials. It could be faster. I'd ask you to check the TDS on that as well. Next thing to follow is the Planet Prep for LVT. And this is a very interesting product in the fact that it is a pre-mixed skim coating product. I want to emphasize the fact that it's skim coating. The application rate should be no more than 2 millimeters, 3 millimeters. I think that's a 1/16 of an inch, if I'm not mistaken. If you do apply it a little bit thicker than that, it's going to take a lot longer to dry. That's just the nature of the beast. But it is pre-mixed. It travels on very smoothly, kind of like drywall mud, for lack of a better description. It dries very quickly in 2 hours to a non-porous material, to a non-porous water-resistant material. I'm very excited about this because it's got more application in my mind than what's being just used here for the shower system. Let me just reemphasize what it is used for here in the shower system is if you're doing a retrofit over an existing tile installation, it's a grout filler. It's basically a one component embossing leveler. And it will dry very quickly over those grout lines. And obviously the coverage is extensive depending upon how deep or how wide the grout lines are. I also see this as an opportunity for other applications other than showers. And I would encourage you to take a look at it. But if you need an embossing leveler over an existing resilient floor for another resilient floor installation on top of it, which is common, this is a great product for that. Due to the fact that it's got high moisture resistance, I would also recommend the use of this over wood and concrete type substrates for general skim coating and patching of floors as well, prior to the installation of virtually any kind of flooring. So we're very excited about this one. I look forward to seeing this grow outside of the shower into other environments as well. It can be applied and dried in about 2 hours and sanded with a palm sander or belt sander with 120 grit sandpaper to a very smooth finish. Very nice product, very easy to work with, cleans up with water, but once it's dry, it becomes a non-porous, very tough, durable skim coat. Then we get into the adhesives, and we have 2 of them. For vertical applications, you're going to be spending most of your time looking at Ultrabond Eco MS for LVT wall. And again, as I mentioned before, these are modified silane adhesives. And if any of you are familiar with the MAPEI product portfolio, these are kind of similar to things like Ultrabond Eco 985, our modified silane wood flooring adhesive. Same kind of chemistry. It does require moisture to cure. They're moisture curing materials. And once they're cured, they become basically, for lack of a better description, a thermoset rubber, which becomes impervious to water. Doesn't make any difference if you expose it to water or moisture vapor. It's really going to remain unaffected. The wall version is thixotroped or has a higher viscosity so that it's able to hold large pieces of LVT on the wall without slippage. When I again was at Zomatex this year, the MAPEI parent company was showing demonstrations where they had LVT that was 1 meter by 1 meter, I mean 3 feet by 3 feet in size, stick it up on the wall with using Ultrabond Eco MS for LVT wall, and the product were not slipping. So that's a really neat thing about that. If you're working with big pieces of LVT on the wall, you really don't want them slipping off or fighting with gravity to keep them in place. That's what this is designed for. The Ultrabond Eco MS for LVT normal, if you will, is a lower viscosity version of that, and it's designed for flooring application and horizontal applications. It has no slip control. In fact, it actually has a little bit of a tendency to flow out after you've installed it on the floor or applied it on the floor, which is a good thing in the fact that it doesn't leave you trowel ridges on the floor that might show through on a highly polished, thin vinyl flooring. But again, it's a very tough adhesive. It is one of these, both of these products are what we consider, how do I explain this? They're high moisture resistant, moisture vapor barrier adhesive bonding solutions in one. They're the 2-in-1 solution. They provide moisture vapor barrier as well as a bond characteristic as well. And they also have virtually no moisture limits to them. They can be installed on fresh concrete slabs that have 25 pounds of moisture vapor emission rates during the calcium chloride test, or 100% RH test using the RH probe test. So very robust, very durable. They have extraordinarily high indentation resistance, and they are great products for high traffic, high commercial environments. So not only are they great for shower applications, which it's a must-have for showers, and as I mentioned before, there are no other alternative adhesives that MAPEI will recommend for LVT in wet environments. If we're putting LVT on the wall, in dry environments, we have numerous solutions for that. We've already recommended things like Ultrabond Eco 373 for LVT on the wall in dry environments, but for water exposure, your only solution is the Eco MS for LVT. Okay. The next piece in the equation is grouting, and when you're dealing with LVT, the grouting is an option for you. It's not a mandatory requirement. It depends on what visual you're trying to get. If you're looking at a natural stone like LVT or a tile product that looks like marble and you want to grout line it, you can do that. The only restriction we have is that you need to use a resin type grout. We're recommending here FlexColor CQ, or the other choice that you can have is using our Care Epoxy CQ product as well. Epoxy grouts or these polymer-based grouts will work just fine for grouting. You cannot use any cement-based grouts, so Curacolor or Ultracolor are not allowed for use on this application. For your education, we've been recommending FlexColor CQ as a grouting agent for floor applications for LVT and luxury vinyl tile and plank for several years now. Successfully works extremely well. Again, grouting is not necessary, and frankly, if having working for ceramic tile companies like this before, we know that grouting seems to be one of the major complaints most people have with ceramic tile installations. It's very challenging at some points to make sure it all works the way you want it to work. So if you don't need a grout line and you want a nice uniform visual, by all means, go ahead and do it. That's a very important option for you. Grouting is definitely an option. The last piece that's extremely important and not an option to do, you must do this, is the use of MAPEI code for LVT. The MAPEI code for LVT is what we can call a two-component aliphatic anti-slip polyurethane finish and water dispersion for LVT. So all that basically means it is a two-part material. You mix part A and part B together, and it provides the anti-slip traction characteristics that you need to have in a wet environment, as well as seals all the joints and gaps that might be left in the LVT installation, preventing any more water from getting behind those applications. We do provide it in two different gloss levels, a 10 gloss and a 30 gloss. And these are, again, extremely important for use of LVT in a wet environment. We do have on record TCNA test data for slip resistance, DCOF, in wet environments. I believe the standard for that test is a 0.42 number on the test method. The MAPEI code for LVT is providing numbers like 0.47 to 0.48. So we're very successful in terms of providing the right kind of traction in a wet environment for slip resistance. That also makes this product extremely interesting for me in other areas besides showers, and showers is definitely, you must have it, but any other areas where you want to install LVT that you might be worried about slip aspects. For example, in front of a produce section in a grocery store where water is spraying on that, on the LVT, those areas are classic areas where slip and fall does occur. The MAPEI code for LVT could provide a non-slip traction code on there and help reduce that. Even in walk-off areas in front of retail environments, there's a lot of LVT used in those environments, VCT even for that application. Would certainly help provide a more traction coating on those things for people to walk on. One question that often comes up in this discussion about the MAPEI code for LVT is how often do I have to recoat it? And I'm going to answer that kind of oddly, but basically this material is very similar to the two-component aliphatic polyurethane finishes we use for wood flooring. For example, our UltraCoat HT2K, a high performance, high traffic two-part polyurethane finish, is used in heavy commercial environments or your home, as far as that goes, on wood flooring, where you're walking on it with shoes and dogs are on it with their claws and you're dragging luggage and whatever else across the floor. Typically those, in that kind of environment, you might look at a recoat 7 to 8 to 10 years after the initial installation, maybe, but they're very, very durable. So when you're looking at the MAPEI code for LVT in a shower environment where the most abrasion you're going to get is a bare foot, I don't know very many people walking into a shower wearing their hiking boots and their hobnail boots and causing a bunch of abrasion. So these coatings are going to last a very long time. I would recommend that if you need to clean them, I would not recommend abrasive cleaners. Comet is out, for example, to pull a brand name or something like that. If you are going to need to use something, most cleaners are perfectly suitable for shower environments, scrubbing bubbles, you name it. The traditional bathroom cleaning agents are fine for this application. It's got great stain resistance. It's got great cleaner resistance and chemical resistance as well. So rest at ease that these things are going to be very durable. Speaking of durability, and I'll talk about this in a second here, is that we do provide a 10-year performance warranty system for the shower system for LVT. So you can present this in confidence. That there will be a 10-year performance warranty to provide to back this particular system up. And I also got to answer another question that comes up quite often. How many LVT manufacturers are embracing this system or endorsing this system? And quite frankly, the answer to that is none at this present time. However, I will tell you that a lot of them are looking at it very intently. Some of them are looking to bring it in for their own use, for their own business. But from my perspective, I'm going to be a little bit arrogant for you in saying that I don't really care if they don't recommend it for the shower system, because once I coat their LVT with our MAPEI coat for LVT, I've basically got into the flooring business. I've changed their product structure by putting a different wear layer on it, by putting a different coating on the surface. So all of that stuff now becomes MAPEI flooring, basically. So whatever visual you want, as long as it's not got anything in it that has got moisture sensitivity to it, like a cellulosic fiber, but if they're claiming waterproof characteristics, water resistant characteristics, we're good to go with virtually any visual or any type of product that you have. Click systems and solid rigid core may be a little bit of a challenge to install, but I'm still not precluding them from the application as well. One last thing to talk about, and this is not something that we MAPEI offer, but it's definitely something I'd like for you to put into your mind as part of an installation system, and that is transition metals or pieces. When you cut to a piece of LVT, you wind up with a very sharp edge. The times that I've worked with it, the demonstrations I've worked on, the installations I've put together, it's extremely easy to cut your palm of your hand by trying to push a piece of LVT in place because the edges are so sharp. So we really don't want that to happen on the corner of a shower enclosure where you would put your hand on it and get into the shower, or move your hand on it. Sharp edges can cut you. So I would definitely recommend you look at some metal transitions. Here is a cut out of a page of the Futura metals. MD makes them. There are other companies out there that's also, I think Lockscreen has some, Schluter may actually have some as well. The key factor is you've got to get one that matches up to the thickness of your LVT. So again, you're seeing a 3 millimeter, a 4 millimeter, a 5 millimeter profiles here. This just is a nice way to smooth the corners and to prevent any kind of damage going forward. All right, so how does it work? And time frames for installation for new construction. In this particular case, it starts from the wall structure. And quite frankly, from my perspective, you can do this with a lot of different things. If you want to do this with drywall, you can do this with drywall. Again, you have to kind of refer to building code environments. I like waterproof boards. MAPEI does not offer one of these at this point in time, but there are a variety of them out there. You see a picture of Go board, there's Weedy board, there's other boards that are out there in the marketplace that are very nice for waterproof boards, easy to install, lightweight, and so on. And they also provide a nice smooth surface on which to install the LVT. You can do this with HardieBacker, Glasscrete, any other kind of cement boards that are out there. But keep in mind that those have some texture involved, and you might want to, you will spend perhaps a little bit more time smoothing them out as opposed to installing flooring. So if you had a choice, I would pick something that has smooth surface rather than a rough texture. The next piece is a shower pan creation. As I mentioned before, Planet Slope RS is a product we're recommending for that, but we also have other choices. I believe 4-to-1 mud bed is one. We have some top gem premix material screeds and things that will do this application. Again, that's our tile and stone buddies will help you fill in the blanks on a lot of that. Or you can simply use a fiberglass insert, you name it. There's a variety of different options for that, but this is the only product that we have in the box that does require some mixing with water and powder, but it's the only one that's there, but it's a very fast acting material. The next thing is waterproofing. And you see it here in application of Aqua Defense going on with MAPEI band installations. Again, you can waterproof first and then put your shower pan second, or vice versa, it doesn't really matter. Surface prep is the last step in terms of preparation before you start installing LVT, and we do that with Planet Prep for LVT. Again, let's go back for timing. The shower pan creation takes about 4 to 6 hours for it to cure and dry and ready to go to the next step. Waterproofing membrane takes about 12 hours to dry to completion before you can go on to the next step. Surface prep the Planet Prep for LVT takes about 2 hours or less, depending upon how thick it is, before you can sand it and go on to the next step. So 6, 12, and 2, we're looking at 18 hours. That's Jeff's math on these particular steps of the process. Once those are done and successfully installed, then we can begin the installation of the LVT process. We're talking about the use of Ultrabond Eco MS for LVT on the wall. And side note or side question, can I use Ultrabond Eco MS for LVT wall on floors? Yes, you can. It works fine for floors, but keep in mind that it has this high viscosity. It's got great trowel ridge holdout, which does mean you're going to have to spend a little bit more time rolling that floor in order to break those trowel ridges down so that it doesn't show through on a highly polished flooring surface. Again, Ultrabond Eco, the other aspect of LVT installation on the wall using this adhesive is if you are going to grout, and that's, again, as we mentioned, that's an optional step. You want to take a little bit extra care to make sure your grout lines remain clean. You're dealing with thin materials here. You're dealing with a very thin application of the adhesive. You're dealing with 2 millimeter, 3 millimeter, 5 millimeter LVT. If you apply the LVT and kind of move it around, squish it around, you could get an adhesive buildup in the grout line. And that grout line needs to be maintained. You need to make sure that it's clean prior to the installation of any grouting compound. Otherwise, you're going to wind up with white specks, white dots, white lines, and so on. So you can use standard tile spacers, grout spacers to install this, but do spend a little bit of extra time making sure that those grout lines remain clean and don't have an adhesive buildup on them. Grouting, time frame for Ultrabond LVT to cure is roughly 4 to 6 hours after installation before you can get into the grouting phase. Grouting with Flex Color CQ, pretty straightforward. Everybody that's kind of familiar with that one. Takes roughly 12 hours to dry enough before you can go to the sealing phase. So there's some time involved. Even though that's thin, you want to make sure that that Flex Color is completely dried out before you put a coating on it, because once you do that, the drying process for Flex Color CQ is done. If it's soft, it's going to remain soft. Cure Epoxy CQ, the advantage here is that it's a chemical reaction. The cure times are a little bit shorter, but it does come with the aspect of a little bit more of a challenging cleanup process. And you definitely want to make sure that either one of these grouts are properly cleaned off the grout, off the LVT before you go to the final step of sealing. The second to the last step, if you will, is the sealing and the anti-slip application using MAPEI for LVT. Again, this is a pretty straightforward product. It comes in a kit that covers roughly 180 to 200 square feet. It's a 1.2 kilogram kit, basically a quart of material. You mix part A to part B and apply it with a high quality 1/4 inch nap microfiber roller in a very thin coat application. I think the application rate goes down at 3 mils wet film thickness. It's really a very thin coating, but that's all you need for slip resistance and sealing. And you need to do all this sealing and an application prior to the last step, and that would be the installation of MAPEIUSA T on inside corners or gaps, inside corners, because the MAPEI for LVT will not stick to a silicone sealant. So you want to make sure the silicone step is the last phase. If you are retrofitting or going over an existing tile, you've cut out a few steps, and all you have to do is the surface prep, and that would be to apply the Planet Prep for LVT to fill in the grout lines, give it 2 hours of cure time, install the Ultrabond Eco MS for LVT, install the LVT, which takes about 4 to 6 hours to dry. Grouting is an option, sealing and MAPEIUSA, and so on and so forth. So a very simple process, very quick, and relatively easy to install. One slide I'm going to share with you now is installation cost estimates. And please, whatever you do, my caveat that I always say when I throw money up on the screen is this is not a quote, and this is not the final numbers, but what I've done here is basically shown you what list prices are for some of these products. and some estimates on labor rate and hours necessary to do particular jobs to get to, on a per square foot basis, to get an estimated cost per square foot for material and labor to do an LVT installation on a wall. Again, a lot of this stuff's going to vary based on your labor force, whether you're union or non-union. Obviously, pricing on materials itself will change somewhat. But to give you some general idea, and this number has been looked at by a few contractors, and they haven't run me out of the room yet, so it kind of makes sense. $6.50 a square foot to install, which we believe is somewhere in the order of 20 to 25% less than a ceramic tile installation of the same nature. What this also doesn't include is the additional cleanup time and the amount of dust and debris that's generated on ceramic tile installation that is definitely not here for this kind of an installation as well. So let's take a look at some actual applications, and I need to tell you that this is an installation system that has been introduced by our parent company in Italy about 3 years ago. I saw this first in 2017 at the Domatex trade show in Germany, and I was completely blown away. It's like, you have LVT in a shower, no kidding. They actually had a functional shower going on in their booth to show how this actually works, and a variety of great demonstrations to show how it works. So they've had a little bit of a head start on us, and we're working with their knowledge base and bringing it into the US, which I think is very exciting. So here we're looking at some homes that were done in Germany, a private remodel. You'll see the MAPEI WP200 waterproofing membrane. They like that one very well. It's relatively easy to install. And you'll see over on the right side of the screen, the preliminary installation of the LVT, not completely finished, but you get the general gist of the thing. The final installation is a very contemporary, very clean, in my opinion, a very hygienic look. I believe this is a fiberglass insert pan with a big giant piece of glass to separate that shower area from the rest of the environment. That is LVT also on the floor. I believe there's some metal panels on the side of the wall, but again, this room basically could be hosed down with a hose with water and nothing would really be affected by it as well. And this is a look on the opposite side of that shower where they've got large pieces of LVT. I mean, I'm still kind of blown away by the choices that we have in the LVT market today. I think a lot of us think about the common 6-inch by 36-inch vinyl plank as being the only structure for LVT, but here you're looking at pieces that are 1.5 meters by 1 meter in size. I know I've seen things that are 2 foot by 3 foot or even larger pieces of LVT that can be stuck on the wall to create whatever visual you want. This kind of is a nice rusted metal look, very contemporary, very clean, and a very nice way to protect the whole installation from water intrusion. Another installation for a home in Germany. Again, German construction or European housing construction is a little bit different than us. Please forgive me for that, but they do things a little bit differently. But here is an interesting and relatively small shower. But if you wanted to have carry on a wood visual that's in your bathroom into the shower, the only way you can do that is with LVT. And they've got a very nice linear drain look here with mitered corners, beautiful installation by the time it's all done. And this was the finished look. On this particular slide on the left side, you'll notice some metal transitions on the outside corners. And again, this is what I mentioned to you before. This whole visual, I'm sorry about the blurriness of this to a certain degree, but you'll notice that these are LVT pieces on the wall as well. So the whole area is waterproof and protected from water exposure. Another one, another home in Germany, and I throw this one up just because if you think you have bad subfloor problems to deal with on a regular basis, you ain't seen nothing yet. Again, as I mentioned before, European construction is a little bit different than North American style manufacturing. They do a lot of screed work. Frankly, I don't know exactly what's going on with this floor, but somehow or other they managed to pull it all together and create a base. And I'm sure with a lot of great MAPEI products that make this work, but they made a perfect base, and then they built this monolithic 2001 Space Odyssey shower obelisk as part of the home. Again, MAPEGuard WP200 waterproofing membrane, and then a look at the somewhat finished product at the end of the day. Kind of an open standing water center, shower on one side, toilet on the other, and then a tub also with LVT on the top and on the sides. Again, very contemporary, very clean, very nice looking. This looks like a stone or a product as well, very pretty. Another application, and I think we all need to get, whenever travel bans get lifted and we get a chance to go places, this is one we need to go to, some holiday houses in Germany. It's got to be near Holland somewhere, because over on the right you'll see the backside of a windmill. And I want to ride on the swans, frankly. Yes, I'll embarrass myself. It looks like a lot of fun, but these little homes look like great fun. Again, LVT on the floors for the main living areas. If you imagine you're out swimming, walking around, getting wet, coming in, and these installations were done with MS for LVT to protect the floor. The inside of the area, this is the shower and the bathroom area. Again, pretty much a total water enclosed environment. LVT on the walls, LVT in the showers. Very easy to clean, come in with a hose. This actually looks a little bit like a marine application. So if you wanted to retrofit a motor yacht, a pleasure craft of some sort, with an updated look over existing whatever is there, existing fiberglass, existing whatever, you can do that with an LVT system from MAPEI. A hotel in Norway. This is the Best Western Hotel in Norway, where they wanted to upgrade and improve the appearance of their bathrooms. It's again LVT all on the walls, LVT in the shower. Again, from a hotel perspective, one of the things that they're almost always going to be concerned about now going forward is cleanliness. How easy is it to clean? So if you're using paper type wall coverings or even paints and so on and so forth, they may have some difficulty maintaining a proper cleanliness of it, where a vinyl product is the way to go. I mean, it's the flooring choice for hospital environments because it's that easy to clean and sterilize. So why not use it here as well? So again, a nice contemporary look. Here's another one in Norway, Til Trefjord. I can't pronounce that. If anyone is from Norway, please correct me and say that properly, but it is a beautiful golf course resort on a lake in Norway. I've looked this up on Google just to see what it's all about. This apparently is a gang shower or shower in the golf club. And it was previously a relatively monotonous looking ceramic tile installation, where they went and covered the whole thing with Planopref for LVT, then installed LVT using Ultrabond Eco MS for LVT, and the finished look is a lot cleaner, more contemporary, upgraded image as well. So you're kind of getting a general gist of what the shower system for LVT can do for you, is to create a very clean, contemporary, upgraded look with virtually any kind of visual you can come up with. Another home, this was, I'm not sure if this was the actual home, but one of my counterparts in Australia by the name of James Creswell, he's a product line manager for the Resilient line in Australia, did this installation. It looks like they kind of converted a closet over into a shower. And again, a beautiful herringbone installation with LVT. That took some time to get done. LVT on the walls as well, and a nice shower system as well. Couple of different environments as well, where you've got LVT on the wall, LVT on the floor. There's a drain in here, so if there's ever a water spill, it just runs right into the drain, and there's not going to be any issues going forward. These are some houses in Italy. I believe these are some of the residents of Paola Di Silvestre, who is the main FCIS product line manager in Italy, my dotted line boss, if you will. And some of these installations are from her home. Again, the visuals you can see are incredible and very nice looking types of installations going forward. Again, another retrofit of a private home. As in my travels in Europe, I've seen a lot of this shiny, glossy ceramic tile with weird little logos in it that are extremely old looking. But if you want to update that, it's a simple process of coating it with a planar for LVT using the Adhesive Ultra Bonito MS for LVT wall, putting the LVT on, and wind up with a completely different look altogether. And I will close with my favorite installation, and we all need to go to this place when we get airplane tickets back again, and that's the Pitlin Boutique Hotel in Prague. Everybody says stuff happens in Prague. I've got to go to Prague, but this hotel blows my mind. Again, you're looking at a herringbone LVT installation in the bedroom area, and then a complete LVT installation on the floor and the wall and the ceiling in the bathroom area. All this stuff separated by large pieces of tempered glass. Good thing for me is they got curtains you could drag across that for a little bit of privacy. But you look at that, it's all able to be exposed to water and a very, very beautiful, attractive finish. So as you can tell, if it's not obvious, I'm very excited about this system. I think it's a fantastic opportunity to expand the LVT product portfolio into an environment that we in the flooring business have never really, I'm sorry, I take that back. We in the resilient flooring business have not really been into, except in really esoteric applications of solid vinyl sheet flooring in hospital environments. But this is a great opportunity to take a very relatively easy product to install into another environment and create a whole different visual. I see this working extremely well in multifamily housing, new contemporary apartments designs, the hotel trends that I see coming out with Aloft and Hilton Home, very contemporary, very millennial style structures and very contemporary looks on the inside can be enabled by the shower system for LVT. And I think throughout the course of this presentation, you have seen a lot about all the visuals, how the installation works, the ease of the installation, the minimum they'll build thickness, and so on. So again, that's basically my presentation, and I'm running close to the end, but I do have some time for questions. Jen, if you have anything on wall, please let me know.
There are a few, actually.
Okay.
Okay, so the first one we have, can these products be used in cabins that can be shut down in the winter? Do we need to be concerned about temperature?
The correct answer for that is you need to be concerned about temperature for anything if you do that, but they will be fine. You just have to keep in mind that when vinyl gets to be very cold, it will shrink a little bit. We've seen this happen before. You might get some gapping on floor applications, but once the temperature turns back up again, it should warm up. I would be honest with you, I'd be hesitant about using this in that environment because it can get below freezing in those environments, and that's really not good for this flooring application.
Okay. Here's another one. Does the two-part sealer prevent mold?
Let's answer the question. First of all, the two-part sealer is not a food source for mold, so it's not going to be, it's not going to support mold growth. However, I cannot promise you that the soap residues and the other stuff that comes off is not going to be something that will allow mold to grow. It's going to be a good barrier for sure. And it's not going to be a food source for mold for sure. But in all cases, you need to make sure you're cleaning it as well as you can. Now you can clean this with some sort of a bleach solution to knock down any kind of growth that goes on there, Clorox sprays or whatever. It's not going to affect this as well, but you do need to keep them clean.
That actually does lead into another question they asked is, can you clean with bleach or COVID-approved cleaners?
Of course, yeah. I mean, that's the only thing that I would recommend not using are abrasive cleaners. And the only one I can think of off the top of my head is Comet, which has got some sort of abrasives to it. But another one that's got a very fine one is, what's it called? Bartender's Friend or something. There's another one out there. But generally speaking, all the COVID-related cleaners and all the bleaching things will have no impact on this as well. So use them in confidence.
Good. Can MAPEI for LVT be used on saltillo tile that has been down for 20 years if you want to strip and refinish?
Unfortunately, the answer to that is no. A lot of people have asked me for whether or not I can use it over tile, and the answer is no. It doesn't seem to have the right kind of bond affinity. It's designed to work on resilient stuff, and from what I understand, it just doesn't grab properly to any kind of tile. So we are working on that solution to try to come up with a different method for putting traction coating on tile, but that's more news at 11, as they say.
Okay, let's see. Sorry,
That's fine.
okay. And then here's a question. I believe you already confirmed this, but Ultrabond Eco MS4 LVT, the horizontal flooring version, can it be used with PVC-free flooring products, plank, tile, and sheet? Please confirm.
Yes, that is correct. These adhesives are very robust, works with PVC, non-PVC, rubber, vinyl products very well. That's what it's designed for, yes.
Good. Can MAPEI for LVT be applied to porcelain tile to increase anti-slip resistancy?
Again, the answer to that unfortunately is no. It only works on LVT at this point, only on resilient flooring.
Okay. And is MAPEI compatible with HVT, HET, and SVT?
Well, that's an interesting alphabet soup.
Yeah.
Can you give me the letters again? H?
HVT, HET, and SVT.
I'm going to
She has
have
to
to
Google
say
that.
you've stumped this presenter at this
You
point in
played
time.
Stump
I
the
need to
Presenter?
remember. I mean,
You'll
generally
have to.
speaking, any kind of flooring product, and there's a WPC and SRCs, there's other alphabet
Oh,
soup that I know of.
solid vinyl tile. She just typed in solid
Oh,
vinyl
yes,
tile
definitely
SVT.
solid vinyl tile. Yes, and vinyl enhanced tile. Yes, anything that's vinyl, anything that's resilient, MAPEI for LVT can be used on.
Perfect. There are a few more questions. We will answer them via email because we have hit our time limit. So this will conclude today's webinar, and we want to thank everybody for taking the time out of their busy days to join us. And thank you, Jeff, for a very interesting presentation. And like I said, sending you some questions via email. We'll see everybody next time, and have a great rest of your day. Bye.